Well, earlier, ladies and gentlemen, we also have the reserve components assets being used in times of emergency, particularly during calamity, disaster, or any crisis situation. They're from the affiliated reserve units of the Armed Forces of the Philippines.
Kung usaping gera talaga mga utol, kung usaping gera no, ng bansa, talagang mahina tayo. Masasabing mahina tayo. Kasi hindi naman ganun kalaki ang ating pondo. Hindi kagaya sa US. Grabe, pinakamalaking pondo na yon sa Sandatahang Lakas. Kaya sila ang talagang pinaka-moderno pagdating sa mga modernong sandatang pandigma. Okay? Sila talaga. Okay? Tsaka meron silang research and development. Nagde-develop talaga sila ng kanilang mga sandata. At ginawa na yan dati pa ni President Ferdinand Marcos, no? Yung bongbong missile kung tawagin, mga utol, Project Santa Barbara yata yun, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, na itinigil naman pagkatapos ng kanyang panunungkulan.
Mga karunungan, kaalaman, teorya, kasaysayan, hiwaga at mga bagong tuklas. Alamin natin, alamin natin.
Nito lamang December 19, 2022, mga utol, ay dinaos ang selebrasyon ng 87th anniversary ng Armed Forces of the Philippines o Sandatahang Lakas ng Pilipinas. Mga utol, sa pamumuno ng ating presidente, si President Bongbong Marcos. Ngayon, dito ay ipinarada ang mga moderno nating kagamitan o modernong sandata natin ng Pilipinas para ipagtanggol ang ating bansa. Ayan, papanoorin natin mga utol. Ito yung parade at mamaya ay ipapakita ko rin yung speech ng ating mahal na Pangulong si Bongbong Marcos. Game na para hindi tumugal. Ito yung mula sa SMNI News. Subscribe niyo yan mga utol. Yan, like nyo na rin yung video kasi yung mga news na kailangan nyo mapanood. Pero, at saka nag-uusap talaga sila dito ng mga issues sa ating bansa. Okay, game na. Para hindi tayo tumagal. Mula rin sa RTV Malacanang.
Following is the AFP Composite Band under the baton of Technical Sergeant Donnie Ise. The 1st Brigade is headed by Brigadier General Romeo Jerome Dirillo with his staff, Lieutenant Colonels Von Ryan Timbang, Agripino Poblete, Marlon Graciano,
Talo-talupad, unang
Commanders
talupad,
John
pasulong!
and Crispin Malimina.
God.
Pasulong. God.
Galing, oh.
1st Battalion from the prestigious Philippine Military Academy, the Cadet Corps of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, led by Cadet Captain John Troy Alban of Davao del Norte. His staff, Dexter Ariola of Taguig, Thomas Awoyang of Batangas, Keith Vitor Cebu, Kim Agatep Cebu, and Nicole Sarmiento of Butuan City. These young male and female cadets are the future leaders of the Armed Forces of the Philippines from the different regions of the archipelago.
Ayan, pinapakilala isa-isa yung mga
Following is
pumaparada.
the contingent from the Philippine Army represented by the Security and Escort Battalion under Major Fabian Ranet, with his staff Major Arbutante, Major Quit, Captain Ignacio, and Major Soria.
Kung hindi ako nagkakamali, itong mga naka-white ay
Marines.
Marines.
Strengthening Filipino institutions, communities, and individuals by advocating for personal governance and by rebuilding itself into an organization loved by the people.
Next, we have the contingent from the protectors of the Philippine Seas, the Philippine Navy.
Philippine
The Navy
Navy.
secures our territorial waters and conducts sea lift operations in support of our troops, performs mercy missions, rescue and relief operations during calamities, and protects our marine resources and environment.
Navy. Yung naka-white.
The contingent from the Angels of Mercy, the Guardians of the Philippine Skies, and the first line of defense, the Philippine Air Force, led by Lieutenant Colonel Vic Anthony C. Robles, with his staff Majors Ronquillo, Alexander Ilagan, Yusuf Tang, and Henry Allen Galvan. The Philippine Air Force is primarily tasked to secure our country's airspace as a forward defense shield. They conduct search, rescue, and relief operations during calamities.
Air Force.
The audience is requested to rise for the passing of the national colors.
Ayun na yung mga flag. Ganda rin talaga ng bandila natin. No?
Thank you. Please be seated. Following is the AFP massed colors, consist of the major service commands, unified commands, and the AFP-wide service support units.
The 2nd Brigade is under the command of Brigadier General Danilo Benavides with his staff, Lieutenant Colonels Richie J. Bisco, Melvin Madayag, William D. Roy, John De La Cruz, and Ronald Lapizar.
The 1st Battalion consists of the Special Operations Forces of the Philippine Army, the 1st Scout Ranger Regiment, and the Special Forces Regiment Airborne, headed by Lieutenant Colonel Gregorio Inumpa. His staff, Major Rolly Villaluna, Major Arnel Carangdang, Captain Reynal Lopez, and 1st Lieutenant Tagura.
Scout Ranger, napanood ko yung
These
mga
units
nila, training.
specialize in unconventional warfare and small unit operations ranging from reconnaissance, intelligence, demolitions, and other special operations.
This time, we have the Special Operations Forces of the Philippine Navy, the 4th Reconnaissance Group, the Naval Special Operations Command, and the Marine Battalion Landing Team headed by Lieutenant Colonel Lloyd Ian M. Kagampan with his staff, Lieutenants Godi Vincent Bongkak, Melbert Fernando, Majors Ian Villesa and Jean Paul San Gabriel. The Naval Special Operations Command is capable of conducting maritime special operations, which include high-risk visit, board search and seizure, gas and oil platform takedown, and retaking.
The 710 Special Operations Wing of the Philippine Air Force, led by Lieutenant Colonel Nasul Sahili, his staff, Majors Elmer Barcenas, Amandio Gomez, Edmundo de la Cruz, and Captain Jonathan Cave. The 710 conducts special operation and, of course, performs other contingency operations in support to the Philippine Air Force mission.
Lapit na.
This time, we have the contingent consists of the AFP
Mga
peacekeepers, medical personnel, and humanitarian assistance and disaster response
rescue.
operators under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Wilbert Basquinas. His staff, Majors Melvin Diploma, Glenn De Ramos, Ronnie Sicad, and Lieutenant Colonel Benavides. The AFP peacekeepers respond to foreign conflict-stricken areas conducting peacekeeping operations. They are ambassadors to global peace. Medical personnel attending to the well-being of personnel and their dependents.
Eto na yung mga
While
gamitan.
the HADR operators, the first-ever responders conducting rescue, relief, and retrieval operations to areas hit by calamities or disaster.
Approaching is the motorized contingent, which showcases the vehicles being used in the internal security operations, anti-terrorism, as well as in peace and humanitarian efforts, to include the reservist assets. Leading the pack are the vehicles of the special units of the armed forces.
We have the Philippine Army's Kia Light Tactical Vehicle with machine gun as weapon system. Following is the Spider Philippines Air Defense System, the Philippine Air Force's Air and Defense Systems, which will protect vital installations and key assets of the country. This is the central control unit of the air and missile defense. It will be part of the Air Force Integrated Air Defense alongside the Air Defense and Surveillance Radar System and fighter aircraft for a layered air
na.
defense operations.
We also have the troop carrying vehicle, which is an armored vehicle with machine gun as its weapon system. We also have the troop carrier, an all-terrain vehicle or ATV being used by the Light Reaction Regiment, the premier counter-terrorist group of the Philippine Army.
Before you is the KM452 shop van track from the Chemical, Biological, Radiological,
Mga tangke.
and Nuclear Unit of the Philippine Army. Next, the rigid hull inflatable boat with 2 machine guns being used by the Naval Special Operations Command. This watercraft is highly utilized as platform to insert, extract, and provide fire support to operating SEAL teams.
Next on the line are the wheeled armored vehicles, which consist of the Philippine Army and the Philippine Marine Corps. We have the Army's armor assets from the Armored Division, the V-150 Armored Personnel Carrier with 50 caliber gun designed for internal security operations, and the Simba Armored Fighting Vehicle with 50 caliber M2 Browning heavy machine gun and automatic grenade launcher.
Following are the Marine V-300 light support vehicles of the Philippine Marine Corps. This time we have the artillery assets, the king of battle, the primary support in combat missions. The 105mm howitzers being towed by KM-250 troop carrier tracks. These main artillery guns of the Army Artillery Regiment. The latest, of course, in the Army's artillery assets. We also have
Although kahit na mga utol, puputulin ko lang kahit na, alam niyo yun, napakalayo ng ating mga kagamitan, depensa, pagdating sa usaping militar sa mga makakapangyarihang bansa. Pero, kagandahan dito, kung anong yung training ng ating mga sundalo, maganda rin naman talaga. Ngunit syempre, iniisip ko nga yung mga sundalo natin, isa yan sa mga kulang sa sahod. Alam natin yan, sa mga hindi nakakaalam, isa sa mga mabababang sahod. Ngunit dapat dinadagdag yung sahod nila, no? Napanood ko kasi yung training ng Scout Ranger. Napakahirap, kaya napakagagaling yung mga yan pagdating sa gubat. Okay? So, yun, yung skills ng ating mga sundalo ay hindi rin naman na magpapahuli sa mga skills ng ibang sundalo sa ibang bansa. Ngunit, ang lugi lang talaga tayo doon sa mga modernong kagamitan. So, yun. Siyempre, maliit naman yung bansa natin and nagpo-progress pa lang. Developing country pa lang tayo. Okay? So, maliit talaga budget natin pagdating sa sandatahang lakas. Okay? Tuloy na natin to.
the long range or the 105mm howitzers proven to be indispensable in conventional and semi-conventional warfare of the Philippine Marine Corps. The long-range 155mm howitzers with effective running gear at reliable pneumatic braking system, still from the Philippine Marine Corps. And of course, this time we have the Army's artillery asset, the Soltam Atmos 155mm self-propelled howitzer, which will boost indirect fire support capability.
Trailing behind are the combat support vehicles being used for nation building and humanitarian assistance and
Nation
disaster
building.
response. The engineering assets, the backhoe, the road grader and payloader being used for counter mobility, survivability, general
Lapit na yung
engineering,
mga
and
jet
HADR
fighter.
operations of our engineering units.
The Army Signal Regiment's Mobile Command Center, which serves as coordinating venues between the AFP and other government agencies in the event of disasters and crisis incidents or situations.
Before you now are the Army's URAL 4320 General Purpose Off-Road 6x6 vehicles serving as troop and cargo carrier with a capacity of 8 tons. The SADCO medium troop carrier truck could accommodate 1.5 ton capacity, whereas this kind of truck also serves as troop and cargo carrier.
Well, still for troop and cargo carrier, the KM-450, and on board we have the AFP Peacekeepers.
Peacekeepers.
The Command, Control, and Communications truck of the Naval Information Communications Technology Center, which serves as a venue for coordination between the AFP and other government agencies in the event of disasters and crisis incidents.
The C4I Star Information and Communication System will provide operational data capability to AFP's individual Joint Service and Command Center.
We also have the KM451 ambulance truck, which is mounted by an integrated shelter equipped with emergency rescue medical devices.
You can also see the air assets of the Armed Forces of the Philippines being used in various capacities for air support during combat operations, logistical support, and pilot training purposes. First on the line are the four A-29 Super Tucano, a turboprop aircraft designed for light attack, counterinsurgency, close air support, aerial reconnaissance mission in low-threat environment. We also have the 3 Black Hawks, 1 B-412, 1 S-76A, 1 T-129 attack helicopter, 1 AH, 1 S Cobra, and 1 AW-109.
Jet naman natin.
Well, earlier, ladies and gentlemen, we also have the reserve components assets being used in times of emergency, particularly during calamity, disaster, or any crisis situation. They're from the affiliated reserve units of the Armed Forces of the Philippines.
Kung usaping gera talaga mga utol, kung usaping gera no, ng bansa, talagang mahina tayo. Masasabing mahina tayo. Kasi hindi naman ganun kalaki ang ating pondo. Hindi kagaya sa US. Grabe, pinakamalaking pondo na yon sa Sandatahang Lakas. Kaya sila ang talagang pinaka-moderno pagdating sa mga modernong sandatang pandigma. Okay? Sila talaga. Okay? Tsaka meron silang research and development. Nagde-develop talaga sila ng kanilang mga sandata. At ginawa na yan dati pa ni President Ferdinand Marcos, no? Yung bongbong missile kung tawagin, mga utol, Project Santa Barbara yata yun, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, na itinigil naman pagkatapos ng kanyang panunungkulan. Na dati, according sa mga nakalap kong balita at impormasyon, sa Asia, isa tayo sa pinaka nangunguna pa pagdating do sa teknolohiya sa mga sandatang pandigma. Okay? So yun, ngayon napag-iwanan tayo dahil itinigil yung proyekto na ito. Parang na-foresee na ni Ferdinand Marcos dati na pwede tayong bulihin. Ngayon binubuli tuloy tayo ng ibang mga bansa. Ngunit dahil maayos ang ating foreign relations, hindi nagkakaroon ng tuluyang pambubuli sa atin. Anyway, alam naman natin lahat yan. Mahina talaga tayo. Maisingit ko lang mga utol bago tayo tumungo doon sa speech ni President Bongbong Marcos. Yung saludo po. Etong saludo, trivia lang. Etong pinagmula na saludo, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, as early as mga medieval time, no? Nung panahon ng mga knights. Kasi yung mga knights naka-helmet, 'di ba, mga utol? So, para saluduhan ang kapwa nila knights, bubuksan nila ang kanilang helmet. So, yun, dun po nagsimula yun. Okay? No, naiuwi na ng ganun. Bubuksan nila ang kanilang helmet para ipakita ang kanilang mukha at para na rin pagrespeto sa kapwa nila kabalyero. Okay? Yun. Ganon mga utol. At madako na tayo sa... Tuloy na muna natin to. Makita muna natin yung jet fighter natin. Lalayo kasi ng uwa. Yan, yung mga jet fighter natin. Bago tayo tumungo.
Meanwhile, we have the missing man formation.
Missing man, no?
This is an aerial
Kulang na
salute
isa.
performed as part of a flying pass of aircraft, typically in memory of a fallen soldier.
Anyway, mga utol, kaya ganun lagi, V-shape yung forma ng mga eroplano kapag naka-formation sa kasi ginaya nila yun sa mga ibon. Ganun lumipad ang mga ibon para daw yung hangin na ibinubuga nung nangunguna, masagap na nung mga kasunod niya mga ibon, kaya naka-V-shape sila. So, mas madali na yung kanilang paglipad. Okay? Madako na tayo sa speech ni President Bongbong Marcos. Tuloy na natin to.
Thank you very much, Yusek, in charge, Senior Undersecretary June Faustino, House Speaker Martin Romualdez,
Protecting
AFP
the
Chief of
people,
Staff
securing the
Lieutenant
states.
General Bartolome Bacaro, Most Reverend, please take your seats. The Most Reverend Bishop Oscar Jaime Florendo, Excellencies and other members of the Diplomatic Corps, the honorable members of the Cabinet, the honorable members of the Senate and the House of Representatives, fellow workers in government, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Before I proceed, will you give the command for Tikas Pahinga?
Tikas pahinga.
Tikas! Nga! Wala po na. Tikas! Nga!
Good afternoon. To the men and women of the Philippine Armed Forces, my greetings on the occasion of your 87th anniversary. This year marks an important milestone for our armed forces. After a 2-year slump, we can now finally celebrate in numbers the gallantry of the Filipino soldier who fought for nearly a century to keep the peace,
Tama.
uphold democratic ideals, and defend our country. As one of the pillars of our national security, our armed forces have never failed us. The pandemic may have upended lives and livelihoods, but you have remained steadfast, not just in the fulfillment of duty, but also in assisting the government in fighting this insidious, unseen war. The country and its people are forever grateful to you for your service.
Tama.
For years, growth in the regions has been held back by the presence of communist terrorists, lawless elements who hamper the delivery of government services and infrastructure development. Through your efforts, along with other law enforcement authorities and government agencies,
Naputol, mga utol. Hindi ko alam, naputol yon. Anyway, hanggang doon lang muna. Hindi ko alam kasi hindi ko pa naman napanood. Okay? Well, anyway, happy anniversary sa ating Armed Forces of the Philippines at saludo sa mga kasundaluhan natin. Dahil nung panahon ng pandemic ay sila talaga yung mga nakakalat sa mga lansangan na nagpapanatili ng ating kaayusan. At sila ang nagtatanggol sa ating bayan kapag may insurgency. Anyway, hanggang doon lang muna. Maraming salamat. Pinakita ko lang sa inyo ang ating mga bayaning sundalo. Mga utol, happy anniversary ulit sa ating Armed Forces of the Philippines. Hanggang doon lang muna mga utol. Muli ako si Target Achilles in behalf of the Real South Pro Production. Ako nagpapasalamat sa walang sawa niyong pagsuporta. Kayo mag-iingat. Keep safe mga utol. At eto na yung saludo natin. Saludo sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat po.